Welcome to Two Idiots, One Podcast. I'm Bailey.
And I'm Taylor.
And today, before we start, Taylor, I want to ask you something, actually.
I don't really want to answer any questions right now.
That's unfortunate because once the podcast starts, it's not an option as to whether you're answering the questions or not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you're my prisoner now.
Oh, okay. So you wanted to ask me a question, and since I'm your prisoner, I guess...
You have to answer.
Well, I mean, you've gotten me here, so what else you gonna do?
Exactly. So you ready?
I mean, no, but go ahead.
So have you ever been somewhere just like doing your thing and then all of a sudden your phone rings and you answer it and there's no one there?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say, have you ever been walking around and just got abducted?
Well,
Because I did. That's why I'm here.
I mean, I didn't abduct you. I don't even have a van or a car.
That's okay.
But have you ever had that happen? Ever had ghost rings on your phone? Or
Phantom vibrations?
no, your phone actually ringing, but when you answer, there's no one there?
No, because my phone doesn't ever ring because it's on silent mode, so it just vibrates. But
So you get spooky vibes?
So I get spooky vibes. But yes, I have, picked up the phone from a number because I give out my phone number at work to people.
That's nasty.
So I have to answer them because I think that it might be a, potential person. And sometimes nobody answers and it's just, silence.
So what do you think that is?
Well, I have two theories on it.
Okay.
Either number one, somebody got the wrong number and are just too chicken shit to say anything about it. So they just be silent until you hang up on it. Or it could be a robocall that just hasn't kicked in yet. It has that, brief second before they start going, we noticed that your extended warranty has expired.
You did that really well. Like, I actually really like that impression.
Thank you. I hear them a lot. Extend your warranty now. Press 1 to speak to a representative. Press 2 to be placed on our do not call list.
And the do not call list never works.
No, that's why you press. So in that situation, you press 1 and you go, listen here, fuckface.
I don't know if you should do that. They're just people, too, that have a shitty job because, I guarantee you telemarketers don't want to be telemarketers. It's just kind of where they ended up.
I mean, yeah, but I answered the phone, right? And this dude was like, would you like to decrease your debt? And as soon as I answered, I was like, fuck you, fuck all this. I don't want to do shit for you. And then he goes, what? And I'm like, oh, I thought this was the do not call list. I'm sorry. I don't know. Maybe he thought I was like a dead person or something.
I mean, it's possible. So I'm glad you mentioned dead people because that's what I think it is. Like, I think when your phone rings, you pick it up and no one's there. I think it's like probably ghost.
Like spooky calls?
Yeah, well, spooky vibes.
Spooky vibes.
If your phone's on silent and just vibrates, then it's spooky vibes.
Spooky vibes, okay.
But if your phone's on ring,
Do not disturb.
Well, if it's on do not disturb, then it's irrelevant because you aren't answering.
Yeah, you're not going to answer it, and the person on the other end probably thinks you're dead.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, if your phone's on loud and it rings, then instead of spooky vibes, it's just annoying noise. But that could just be because I'm introverted and when my phone goes off, it gives me anxiety.
Oh, see, I'm extroverted, so when my phone goes off, I'm like, ooh, a challenge.
That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah, it's a battle of wits, which isn't really a battle of wits. It's basically me trying to scam a scammer or talk to a dead person. Maybe I'm having a schizophrenic episode. I don't know.
It's really hard to say.
Yeah, it's really hard to say.
But speaking of spooky vibes and ghost calls...
Ring, ring.
That reminds me of today's movie, which is going to be The Black Phone.
The Black Phone, starring Joaquin Phoenix?
No.
No, I thought it did.
Did you?
Yeah, so, yeah, like I really thought I started Joaquin Phoenix before I saw the movie. And then when I realized he was actually in the movie, I was like, oh.
Who did you think was Joaquin Phoenix? The bad guy?
The magician.
The dude in the mask?
Yeah, the magician.
I mean, the dude in the mask?
The magician?
I mean, yeah, he was referred to as a musician in the trailer.
A musician?
A magician?
Magician, yeah.
Magician. Musician.
Musician?
Yeah, I don't know. I have a speech impediment. I don't know why you're giving me a hard time.
That's okay. I'm giving you some hard facts. But yeah, no, so this will be a little bit different for this review. We'll go into a mild summary where we kind of just, talk about some things and points a few things out. Basically, everything that we say in this one is not going to be something that would not be in a trailer.
Yeah, everything that we're saying during this first section will be spoiler free except for the trailer.
Yeah, obviously, if you haven't seen the trailer, then we're gonna spoil the fuck out of the trailer.
Exactly. And then afterwards, after we give our scores, and we're going to also do recommendations earlier, so that you'll know what other movies that you may have liked that would also indicate you'd like this one.
So the brief overview on this one, I'll take the reins on this one. I won't do my 5 sentence summary.
Thank you, sir.
I'll give like an actual one on this one.
Thank you, sir.
But this movie takes place in like 1978 or whatever, I think. And there's this kid who's got a stupid name,
Finn.
Finney. Finney get grabbed.
I thought it was Phineas, like Phineas and Ferb.
No, if you look on IMDb, it's Finney.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I went on there and saw that and then got mad because in all of my notes I had it spelled like PHE.
And it's
for Phineas.
Finney.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not the point.
No, totally irrelevant.
He's walking home from school one day. His sister diverges, and all of a sudden, this weird magician guy breaks some eggs in front of him because he trips and falls and shows him a magic trick. And then, boom, Finney is abducted. And the dude is really weird and wears a mask. And the phone that is in there, it's an old rotary phone, which if you're too young to know what that is, you're probably too young to listen to this podcast.
Well, I don't know. We only had one rotary phone when I was growing up, and we got rid of it probably in like 2001, 2002.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, there are people who are in their 20s now who may have never had a rotary phone.
That's okay. You're too young to be listening to this podcast.
That's not true. If you're over the age of 18, you and everyone you know should listen to the podcast. So recommend it to a friend.
Yes, that is above the age of 18.
Yes.
But he gets abducted, and then the phone rings, but it's weird because the line's been cut, so he doesn't know how it rings, and it turns out the person on the other end is a victim of the magician guy.
Exactly.
And then he is like, you're going to be the chosen one. There can only be one. Sorry, that was Highlander. It's not the movie we're reviewing today.
It reminded me of Harry Potter, too.
Oh, yeah.
Because, Harry Potter's the chosen one, and...
Well, if you're talking about the chosen one, it would probably be his sister, because she goes on about some kind of, like, dreams that she's had.
Yeah.
Where she's, trying to help the police solve this crime and find her brother. So he's trying to escape. She's trying to find him. What happens next? Well, you'll have to watch the fucking movie.
Or wait till the spoiler section.
Yeah, whichever one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so what would you, on a scale from 1 to 5, would you give this?
So, if you're someone who likes a lot of horror and has seen like a lot of Stephen King movies like It and other children-based horror movies, like is it The Others? The one where it's the family that's living in a house that's supposedly haunted.
The Outsiders?
It might be The Outsiders. I don't want to say specifically because it would be spoily for that really old movie.
Which is a good movie.
Yeah, but if you like stuff like that, if you liked It, the first part of the miniseries that was released in the 90s and of the 2017 remake, part 1, I would say that you'd like this because it's got a very
It's
focus.
The Others.
It's The Others.
The Others, yeah, with Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would recommend if you like The Others, if you like It Part 1 of either the miniseries or this one, or pretty much anything where children are the main victims and the main characters.
Well, I don't know if you can say if you like that the children are the main victims, because that sounds like real messed up.
Well, no, I'm saying like in It, Pennywise the clown was a child killer.
Yeah.
So the bad guy in this could be seen as like, the same type of thing as It, not in the supernatural sense, because that's not what I'm all trying to say, but someone who targets children as their victims.
Basically, if you like any crime movie, or you like any supernatural movie, or if you just like Stephen King because this movie is based off of a book by his son, Jonah Hill, then you would probably like this movie.
Yeah, if you aren't sick of the tropes, because this has quite a few tropes that are like typical. So my score is I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5, and that's because
Took you a real long time to get to that one.
yeah, I'm sorry. Well, I wanted to qualify it with because my score being that low isn't to say this is a bad movie. It's I'm well versed on the tropes, and I've read a lot of Stephen King's books, and I've read some of Joe Hill's books, and I've seen a lot of movies that have similar vibes to this. I will say the story is unique, and because of that, I would recommend giving it a watch. It's unique for the medium that it is. I haven't seen very many movies that follow or similar storylines to this.
So would you recommend this as like a date night movie?
I think that if you are younger and don't have children yet, I would recommend this as a date night movie. I don't have kids, but I feel like parents might be more uncomfortable by this movie than non-child people like me.
Yeah, the only reason I say that is because there were like, 8 teenagers or whatever that were sitting in front of us.
Oh yeah, everyone in the theater other than Taylor and I looked like they were there with their significant other. Well, there was another group of dudes, but
which were extremely annoying, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
And if you're one of those 3 dudes that was in that theater, we are 100% talking about you. Fuck you.
No, they weren't that bad. They were just a little annoying.
They were super annoying. But anyway, I'm gonna give it 2 different scores.
Okay.
So I agree with you about the tropes and everything. So as like as a seasoned horror person, which I've never been able to pronounce that word, it is very cliche, typical, supernatural movie. 2 out of 5. I mean, not very good. If you're a casual fan of horror, I guess, or you just really like Stephen King, probably a 3. Just an average. It'd be an average horror movie film. But yeah, I would say if you're a person who prides themselves on knowing the tropes and cares, I guess, about tropes, and you don't want to see them, don't watch this movie.
But if you are someone who's seasoned and like the tropes, like you think it's fun to be able to watch a movie and be like, oh, that's foreshadowing. Oh, that's X, Y, or Z.
Oh, this jump scare is going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, because of the, whatever change and whatever, this is going to happen. Like, it's all there, and you'll probably be able to pick up and identify when something's going to happen, which is cool.
Yeah. If you want to do that, you can. But those are my scores. So for the horror fan, 2. For a casual horror fan, 3.
Yeah, I would say I would give it a 2 for a personal score, but I think that if you're into stuff like this, it would probably be like a 3 or 4 because it's not a bad movie. It's just a little cliche.
I disagree. I think that it's a bad movie, and I will say that I probably couldn't justify people spending money to watch it unless they just really wanted to.
I mean, so if the recommendation as to whether or not I would recommend spending money for it, I would probably recommend to most listeners not to go see it in theaters.
Because we already did that for you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's something that the theater experience won't be that much better for you than just watching it at home, because I'm sure that this will be on Netflix or Amazon or HBO or something within the next year or 2.
Yeah, probably sooner than that.
You think sooner than that?
There's a lot of movies that within a few months get on HBO. Like, it's quick.
Oh, well, in that case, it might be available to you sooner than that. But me personally, if you haven't seen it, unless you're just like a huge Joe Hill fan or a huge Stephen King fan, or like, the actors or actresses in this movie, because I will say that all of the children actors in this did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, especially the little girl.
Yeah.
Gwen.
Yeah, the little girl. She was played by Madeline McGraw.
Yeah, she's probably the star.
I don't know. I thought that Mason Thames, who played Finney, did a really good job too, but his acting was significantly less convincing than the girl who played Gwen. Like,
no, the girl who played Gwen stole the show, I would say. If anything, you're going to watch the movie for her performance.
Oh yeah,
yeah, like it reminds me of the little girl in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
The little girl in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, where he's doing the cowboy movie, the spaghetti western, and she's like doing her things, and she's like, "Throw me on the ground."
So, I don't know. She was a really good actress too, but I don't know. This is, in my recent memory, this is the best child acting I've seen. This is better than all of the child acting in Stranger Things, which I love Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's a phenomenal series, and I think all of the kids in there do a really good job.
I don't know. I would say that she carries the whole movie.
Yeah, because she is able to display raw emotion in a way that like is surprising for someone as young as her.
Mm-hmm.
And if she continues acting, she's probably going to be like, she'll probably get an Oscar or something as she gets older. But that being said, Leo should have gotten one a lot earlier in his career.
Yeah, she probably won't get one. But is there anything else that you wanted to say about this in our little spoiler-free review?
No, I don't think so.
So now we're going to go into the spoiler review section. So this is the part in the podcast where if you would like to see the movie and you don't want to have it spoiled, please stop listening and then come back to this after you've watched it so you can hear what we have to say about it. Or alternatively, if you do not care, have no desire to see this movie and just want to see what we have to say, continue listening.
Exactly. So I'm just going to say it for one more time for anyone who's like, you know, driving or doing whatever that's making it where you can't pause immediately. We're artificially extending this section by me saying a lot of useless words to give you the opportunity to pause.
This is the story of a person who needs to turn off the podcast right now because we're going to spoil the shit out of it.
Yep. So, spoilers. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoil it.
Fuck this movie.
Man, I wanted to like this movie so bad.
I did too.
And it wasn't a bad movie. It's just...
No, it was. And let me tell you why.
No, let me tell you why.
Okay, tell me why.
So, my issue with this movie is the fucking trailer.
Well, yeah, like the trailer spoils the entire movie.
The trailer ruined this movie.
The trailer is the movie. If you watch the trailer, congratulations, you've seen the whole movie. The only thing you haven't seen in the movie is when he kills him.
When Finn
kills the grabber, Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now the movie's been spoiled. That was the spoiler.
Yeah, that was like, yeah.
But no. So the one thing that the trailer did that completely fucking ruined this movie for me is it shows Ethan Hawke, which I didn't know Ethan Hawke was the grabber before I watched it. I didn't like look that up or anything like on any IMDb to see.
Literally said it in the credits, bro.
Right, but
like before the movie started.
It didn't say who he was though. It said he was in it, but it didn't say his role.
Oh, I thought it was fairly obvious because he was like at the beginning and he didn't show up the whole movie.
Right. Yeah.
So you were like, oh.
No, that's something like I don't know if it's willful ignorance or what, but I knew
blissful ignorance.
Well, willful, like willingly omitting that from my brain so that I didn't.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, but no. So in the trailer, it shows the bottom half of the killer's face, and at one point in the movie, it shows the police knocking on the door, and because of the tropes and stuff that are in it, and because of like the narrative tone and everything, it's trying to convince you that the guy whose door they knocked on is the killer, but you know he isn't if you paid attention to the trailer because you see the bottom half of the killer's face and they're clearly different dudes.
Right.
And that just completely fucking ruined the whole movie for me.
I don't know. The reason this movie was ruined for me was because of how it was like a shitty Stephen King movie. Like a really shitty Stephen King movie.
So Stephen King relies more on gross out factor?
Well, no. No, the reason I say this is because there were so many little nods to Stephen King works and then so many Stephen King cliches of, you know, like this kid gets fucking bullied. There's that bully, you know, for whatever reason. Like, why does there have to be a bully?
A bully carves his name into him very, very, or I don't think it was his name.
No, but it was it, where he carves into Ben.
Yeah, he carves. I'm pretty sure he carved his name.
Yeah. Anyway, but there's that. There's the fucking, you know, dead children thing that flashed while she's riding her bike in a yellow raincoat.
Yeah.
Almost like
Georgie. Yeah.
And they don't even get me started on the fucking Shining. Like, this takes place around the same time The Shining takes place, and it has a child in it that has psychic abilities.
Yeah.
Like, this is basically the fucking shitty Shining.
I mean, I don't know if I would say the shitty Shining because that was about them being stuck in a hotel, and this is about a kid being locked in a basement.
No, he's stuck in a basement. He wasn't locked in a couple times. A couple times he could get out.
Yeah, but he was
locked in the house.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. You're not incorrect.
No, and I don't know. Like, I really wanted to like this movie. I saw the trailers for it, and I was like, oh, this is going to be like a really good movie. I knew that it was only going to end one of two ways. Either he was going to die or he was going to get out, and I was kind of hoping he would die. I think that would have made for a much better ending.
So I'm glad you mentioned that because that kind of gets to the other issue I had with this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So one issue that I had, and I didn't mention this during the spoiler-free section because I feel like it would be too spoilery. I hated the tone of this movie.
What tone? There was no tone for this fucking movie.
There were two tones that it cycled between pretty regularly. It tried to cycle between like an eerie, suspenseful, oh no, what's gonna happen tone, and then it tried to cycle in with like comedic relief. Like it tried to be funny in parts. Like that's the whole like
with the dog and him like, oh yeah, I came down here from Denver to just listen to you or whatever, and I don't live here, but I was really looking forward to your case. So these are all the places, which means that the grabber has to live around here, right, in this neighborhood, be like having a van, because it doesn't make any sense for him to like grab it.
Yeah, he has to get there first, so he's got to have a garage too.
Yeah, he like has to hide him in a garage because he wouldn't risk, like bringing him out there.
Yeah, but well, not even that. I'm talking like even the. I wish I had had like a notepad or something to write down specific quotes.
Mm-hmm.
But Gwen's character or Madeline McGraw.
Yeah, Gwen. You can just say Gwen.
Okay, but her character. So during the scenes where she's like super foul mouthed and like she says fucking hilarious things, like when she's
like you fucking cunts.
Yeah, like
or you no, it wasn't cunts. You like fucking. It's like
she called people like fuck sticks, and she called people cocksuckers and a bunch of like super funny things, and it was so funny.
And when she did that, the entire theater erupted in laughter.
Yeah, it was amazing, but tonally it didn't make sense to me because like
the tone of this movie didn't make sense.
Right, and that's the issue because it tried to push suspense, and a lot of things will push suspense and then do like comedy to like lighten the mood so that the next scare is exactly.
Get Out finds the balance perfectly.
But the balance, see, that's what's important because this movie, the balance isn't done well. I haven't read the book, balance. So I don't know if it's like supposed to be like that or not. But I did not like the tone of this movie. It felt super weird. But I will say that I like the opening scene a lot. Not the baseball scene, but like the opening credits. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, the opening credits were good. The baseball scene was
pointless.
No, because he's got a diamond arm. That's a diamond arm. Mint. Oh, see, that's how much I paid attention. It's a mint arm. Almost got me. Almost got me on that one.
Yeah.
You almost struck me out, but I got you.
Yeah.
No, so here's a problem I have with this movie. It is very 1970s cliche.
Well, I mean, that's intentional.
I know, but I mean, the problem is that I think they overdid it. Like the kid literally shoots off a fucking rocket, okay? And it has a little rocket thing, like he's obsessed. Anyway, that doesn't matter. What does matter is the fact that there were so many Stephen King references that it ruined it for me. It took a long time for this kid to get abducted,
Well, so see,
like a long time.
So that's another issue I have with the trailer. Like I personally like the first half of this movie more than the second half when it was just the kids hanging out at like the middle school and you had the fight that broke out. I thought the fight was cool. You had him interacting with the bullies. I thought that was all more interesting.
I thought that was all cliche.
No, it is cliche, but it was still more interesting than just seeing him locked in the same room. Or I guess not locked, but him being in the same like two rooms for the remainder of the movie.
Oh, see, I disagree. I liked that more than I liked the first half I hated.
So if it was explained at all, like if there was any logical explanation, like what supernatural element was making it where he could get the phone calls, what was, like, if any of that had been explained, I think it would be better. But because of how little explanations in it, and it's just like a weird thing that happens, which is why I want to read the book, because I feel like the book is probably better explained.
I don't want to read the book after watching this movie. I fucking will never read a Joe Hill book after watching this movie.
Oh, so Joe Hill did Nosferatu, which is stylized NO4S TO 02.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
No, but
So it's Nosferatu as if you were writing it on like a car tag. So it's N
Oh, okay.
04.
Yeah, no, I get you.
And the TV series kind of sucks. Like the first season was good, but the second season wasn't. But the book was awesome.
I mean, I don't know.
Like Joe Hill is a good writer. He's not Stephen King, but give it 50 years, 40, 30 years.
I mean, I guess, I don't know. Like, I just didn't like the first half of this movie because it felt too cliche.
It felt cliche, but it was.
Well, I mean, it was super. The only point in this movie that I liked was when, and I don't like want to say it because it makes me sound fucked up, but it was such like a powerful scene, is when Gwen's getting the shit beat out of her.
I mean,
Like, that was the point in the movie where I think, like, because our audience that we had was kind of shitty and was talking most of the time. That was the only time in the entire movie where everybody went like completely silent. And that performance right there is what sold me, because I was like, damn, I want to cry. Like,
Yeah.
this girl really makes me think like she's, getting the shit beat out of her. She was phenomenal.
yeah, like I said, she did an amazing job, and I would say so too. I would say that that's probably the single hardest scene to watch.
But that's the best scene because it shows their relationship, because like he's sitting there and he's afraid to take on his dad because his dad's the stereotypical drunk abusive guy, and he's afraid to go at him and defend his sister. So then his transformation at the end where he becomes Rambo, like that's legitimately what I thought when he sets this trap.
See, I thought Home Alone.
No, he was 100% Rambo because he picks up the phone and goes, "It's for you." And I'm like, "Oh, dude, my dick was rock hard and you just killed it." That was one of the dumbest parts of the movie, but that scene I think is the best scene because it's the one that felt real and authentic, and everybody in it performed well, even the dad.
Oh yeah,
Like, that whole scene
yeah.
would be the best part of the movie.
Like I said, I mean, I definitely think that's the most powerful scene. I don't think this movie was scary. At no point in this movie was I scared. It's got quite a few jump scares, but even those I don't think would be effective if you don't have the volume obscenely loud.
Like in the theater.
Yeah, in the theater the volume was obscenely loud, so like at one point I was looking at my popcorn because like I got a little bit of the hunger. So I reached over to grab my popcorn when a jump scare happened, and I wasn't watching the TV and I still jumped because of how loud the noise was.
And the jump scares kind of don't make sense in this movie.
No, they're all I don't want to say stupid.
They are, though, because every time that they show, there's like 2 times that they show the dead kids, and it's in like a creepy way.
Yeah.
Every other time it just slowly pans to them being near him when they're talking, and
Right.
that's how he can hear them on the phone.
Right.
Like they're in the room or whatever, and they're communicating with him through this phone.
Exactly.
But
Not
they
really.
can interact with stuff because they can pick up bottles and throw the bottles and like make shock waves or whatever in the room and make the phone distorted or stuff. So my whole thing, and there were a couple points in this movie where I was like, this movie should have ended. The first time was when the kid like starts throwing the bottles. The ghost kid starts throwing the bottles and shit. I'm like, well, why can't the ghost kids open the door?
Yeah. So
Why can't the ghost kids do something about him? And the second time that I thought that was when he was asleep in the chair when they were playing Naughty Boy. And he was like, don't go upstairs. You don't want to play Naughty Boy. But, he's passed out. You got to get the bike lock or whatever.
So you got to go upstairs to play Naughty Boy.
Yeah, you got to go upstairs to play Naughty Boy. And if you don't play Naughty Boy, then he can't win. And if he can't win, you'll live. But anyway, when he's doing the whole bike lock thing, I'm like, why doesn't this motherfucker just, like, grab a knife? Like, he's in the kitchen.
So there were a couple things like that. Well, so with the rocket, that's what he stabs him with initially.
Yeah, he could have easily just walked up to him and stabbed him in the jugular.
Right. Exactly. So see, that's one thing that's really confusing for me, because when Finn is initially abducted, right, you see him stab the grabber in the arm with his rocket tip.
And this isn't just something that they do. This is something that they make a huge deal about.
It's not like a sideways thing that happened in passing. It's something that the movie focuses on. The grabber gets stabbed by the rocket tip.
Yeah,
when Finn is abducted.
flashlight. Because Finn stabs him in the arm while he's abducting him, and to the point where the grabber literally says, "I should snap your neck for what you did to me."
Yeah, exactly. But then he lets him keep it the whole time, and he never uses it again. But you see Finn playing with it.
He knows it's there.
I don't know. I feel like when Finn was drugged and put in there, he wouldn't have any of his shit.
I mean, I disagree because he leaves a fully functioning toilet in there, and I don't understand why this kid didn't just grab the toilet lid and, go all Saw in the sky. So here's the psychology behind it. I think that he is a grown adult and this is a little kid, so it doesn't matter what he has because I will just overpower you. And I have weapons, so even if you have your little flashlight and have stabbed me with it, I have a knife or an axe is what he ends up bringing down, and I'm just going to kill you with that. Or his dog. He has his dog too, so like it doesn't matter what you have because I'm going to kill you.
I mean, I feel that, but the fact that he was already injured by it and felt the need to talk about how injured he was multiple times.
Yeah, it's poor writing.
You think that it's okay? I mean,
I think it's poor writing, and I think that it's just a shitty part of the movie because it doesn't make sense. Like, you should have done that. Like, so realistically, if this had been like even remotely real, what would have happened is he would have literally beat the fuck out of this kid and tortured him for what he did. That's the way that would have worked.
no, I mean, I agree.
And the fact that he just makes this thing and goes, "Oh, I'm not gonna hurt you" or whatever, which I mean, he did play the trick with the whole naughty boy thing where he leaves the door open and then waits upstairs with his shirt off and a belt and assless chaps.
At any point does like Finn get fucked up though? Because I don't remember like him ever act during the end scuffle. Is that what you're talking about?
Not the end scuffle. When he escapes.
I mean, even then he didn't get like it didn't show him getting like fucked up.
No, he just punched him in the face, I think, like once or twice, and that was it.
Yeah,
And then threatened to kill him, but like
right.
that was it. That right there was as fucked up as he gets.
So see, that's something else that doesn't make sense to me because of the beginning of this movie where Gwen was getting spanked. Is that the word we're using?
No, she was not getting spanked. She was getting abused.
Yeah, when
that was 100% not spanking. That was like.
Well, I mean, just wanted to make sure I was allowed to use that terminology since apparently we're going to have to put warnings in for some things. Okay,
I mean,
so
this whole movie would be a warning because it's like,
So when Gwen was being abused by her dad, to me, that set a precedent for this movie is going to be very, very dark.
But it wasn't.
Yeah, and then the kid gets because that's the darkest part of the movie, by far the darkest part of the movie, and
I didn't give a fuck about because they were like all these kids are dead or whatever, and then they would just say that he took his time with me or whatever, but that was it. There's no indication that he did anything. It was just he took his time, or he never did anything to Finn. Like the worst thing that he does is punch him and then threaten to slit his jugular and strangle him with his own intestines while he guts him like a pig. That right there, where he says that in the way that he says it, is probably the closest thing to like an actual killer that you'll ever get. And it was for like a brief second in the movie, which could be contributed to the fact that he's trying to play a game with them. So he wants to follow the rules of his game. So because like the only way that he can kill him is if he's a naughty boy. He can't kill a good boy. He's got to kill a naughty boy.
Well, you saw him kill his brother.
Yeah, but he was a naughty boy because he figured out where the naughty boy was.
I mean,
so he went somewhere where he specifically told him not to go. He told him to not go down there, which would be the same thing as, telling him you can't leave and then leaving the door open for them to leave. So by his logic, what he did made perfect sense.
I mean, that's fair, but what I'm saying is the reason that I'm brought it up in the first place is I feel like there should have. I'm not saying I want there to have been more. I feel like based on the way the movie started, the last half of the movie or the last quarter of the movie doesn't make sense.
The last quarter of the movie was tame.
Yeah, well, that's what.
Well, no, I mean, let me rephrase that until he like kills the grabber.
I mean, even that isn't nearly as like graphic and fucked up as it could have been.
Well, yeah, because he doesn't technically strangle him; he breaks his neck. Which I don't understand how he did that.
It doesn't matter.
There's a lot of things I don't understand about that movie. And the way that he goes, "It's for you." And the kid's like, "I can't fuck you up and I can't kill you, but Finney can."
Yeah.
I'm like, finna get his ass beat.
Yeah. Well, he's a little Kevin McAllister.
No, he's not. He's a fucking Rambo. Like the things like Kevin McAllister didn't do that. He's literally a Rambo. And the way that he goes back to school and like nobody fucks with him, like at all, and he's like, call me Finn.
But no, you don't think that, like, I don't know, in my mind, when he goes back to school, like, that's exactly how it would be.
No,
You
that
know,
is not at all how that would be.
dog, I don't know. I feel like if you knew someone had, like, killed someone, especially as, like, a kid,
But it's a rumor.
I mean, that's fair.
It's a rumor because there's no way he could kill. Because literally, a kid says there's no way that he could kill the grabber. He was 7 feet tall.
Right, but then another kid says during that same portion, my dad's a cop and he told me it happened.
Yeah, like it's literally 50-50. It's, he said, she said, which I don't know, like the way that, and that kid would be severely fucked up mentally. Like there's no way he would just, like even in 1978, he wouldn't go back to school and be like, look how big my dick is, guys.
No, he might.
No, he wouldn't, because he would have been severely fucked up because he was in there for a while.
Well, it doesn't give like a time frame, but he was in there for at least a few weeks.
Yes. So,
or at least a week.
At least a week, yeah.
I feel like it was a few weeks.
I felt like it was too. Like it doesn't matter because he didn't get fed very much. He would have been a lot skinnier. He wouldn't have, like, even with the supernatural aspects of it still.
Yeah, he would have been super worn out from digging a hole and then busting in a wall with the back of the toilet, which would have broken probably when he started beating in the wall.
There was no way he broke that wall down, realistically.
Dog, so we have a toilet in my house.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys have those, but we have a toilet in my house, and it's got like the back thing that you can take off.
You mean the back of the toilet?
Yeah, that you can take off, like the lid. Yeah. So
the lid of the tank?
Yeah, the tank lid. Our tank lid is damaged, and we haven't done anything to it. It's just damaged. So I can't imagine what would happen if I tried to bust down a wall with it. Like that's so fucking stupid.
No, and he busts like a really big chunk, and even if you chalk it up to, well, the first kid did it, so this was just the
shitty repair job or whatever.
Yeah, like he spent a fortune on a shitty repair job. The fact that this dude soundproofed this whole thing, which wouldn't be cheap, like especially in 1978 to soundproof everything, this dude would not have been able to get through that wall.
Absolutely not.
And then he's able to bust through the wall, but he can't bust open the freezer that doesn't have a lock on it.
Yeah, and it even shows the front of it. So that's something I was confused about, and I'm glad you brought it up because I wanted to ask you.
Does it move? Yes. When he's banging on it, yes. It looks like it's about to move, but he doesn't unlatch it or whatever.
So yeah, what was the deal with that? Because looking at it from the front, it didn't even look like it had like a mechanism. Really.
No, it didn't. It would be just like the ones that you get the ice at the gas station or whatever, where you like open it up or whatever.
I'm so confused because I was confused during the movie, but I was like, oh, there's something I didn't see or I misunderstood. But is there not? Is it just dumb?
No, it looked like it closed, but there wasn't anything that like locked it in place. If anything, it was like a fucking magnet.
Yeah, they should have just been able to knock it, or he should have been able to knock it down, especially if he was able to knock through a fucking wall.
Yeah, he was able to knock through that wall. He was able to dig the hole. He was able to dig a big enough hole and a deep enough hole to make this, 6 foot tall man fall into it, break his ankle, and then, be submerged to where his top half, like 25% of his body was out of this hole.
Yeah, he was submerged past his elbows. Like
yes.
His like almost up to his shoulders.
Which I guess you could go and justify it by saying like the desperation and the will to survive is what caused this kid to do it. I don't care what you say. The movie was fucking stupid for that. There were so many plot holes, and the fact that the whole theater erupted when we saw it, and they're like, yeah.
So that's something else that was really weird. Like I agree that the grabber was a super bad dude, but I was super weirded out by the fact that there were multiple times throughout the movie where everyone in the theater started like,
I mean, yeah, but have you ever... Okay, so this is going back in time with, like, our fascination with death and shit, because think of, like, the Gladiator days, where that was a huge event to watch people basically not... Well, they didn't kill them, but sometimes they did. Or, better example, is back in the Old West, where you'd put on your Sunday best to go watch someone get hanged.
Yeah, going to a hanging.
Yeah, going to a hanging. Like, that was a big family event.
Right. No. So no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, why I don't understand it is because I've seen a lot of movies in theaters. Like, there was a period of time where I was going to theaters almost every week when I was in the Army because there was a theater literally across from the room I was staying in.
Okay.
Like, I had to walk across the street and I had a full ass theater with like dollar
real
tickets.
Nice. With
yeah.
dollar tickets, that was nice.
Yeah, it was on post, so it was like a little different than normal, but yeah, it was great. But I've never, I don't think, I can think of like one or two times that I was in a theater where everyone in the theater like clapped for what happened. But it was always like something inspirational and positive happened, which arguably the grabber being murdered is inspirational and positive. I'm trying to think of something super wholesome. In The Blind Side. You've seen The Blind Side.
I don't talk about that movie because it's racist.
Right.
Yeah,
But-
like, I don't like that movie because of that.
So that movie's considered wholesome, though. Like, a lot of people consider that like a super wholesome movie, or at least circles I've been in.
Yeah, a group of white people that go,
Right.
we
I
need
mean-
to help the
I mean,
poor community.
I could have like a fucked up perspective,
Yeah.
but a lot of people I know don't look at that as a racist movie,
Mhm.
which I can see how it could be perceived that way. And they look at it as just, someone being unnecessarily good and helpful.
Right.
So I could see like a group of people like clapping and stuff at the climax of that movie when everything's good. Or,
Yeah.
you know
I
what
see
I'm
what
saying?
you're saying, yeah.
But for a movie like this, like I can understand people being happy that the kid wasn't murdered. But I feel like the amount of applause that they got,
There was a standing ovation.
yeah, it was literally a standing ovation from 80% of the audience over.
Oh, it was more than that. We were like the only people that weren't clapping.
Well, because there's no reason to clap.
No, everybody else did. I don't know. We had a weird group.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just confused by it. I'm not used to stuff like that occurring.
Right. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to talk about this movie?
Not specifically.
It's not good. I
Yeah.
wouldn't recommend wasting your money on it. Wait till it comes out on DVD, and then
I wouldn't buy it on DVD. I would wait till
No.
it comes to a streaming platform and watch it.
Well, that's what I meant. I'm old school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, once it comes out on like a streaming platform, or if you can pay like $2 on Amazon to rent it or whatever, that's probably an appropriate amount of money to spend. But I wouldn't spend more than $2 on this movie.
That's fair. And if you want to go see it in theaters, more power to you.
Or if you're just a really big fan of Stephen King, because this is basically a really shitty Stephen King movie.
Or Joe Hill, who wrote it.
I mean, no, because I've never read the book, but if what you're saying about Joe Hill is true, then the book is probably a lot better than this piece of dog shit.
So,
Does it have anything to do with this movie?
I'm sure he had the same amount to do with it. I think he had a cameo in it. I don't definitively know, but there was a point in the movie that I was like, oh shit, that might be Joe Hill. But I wasn't 100% certain, so I didn't say anything. And I didn't look it up afterwards because it's kind of irrelevant. But no, so I haven't read the book, but I have one more thing to do with the movie.
Okay, go ahead.
So there are a few things that I feel like was likely explained in the book that wasn't explained in the movie. For example, how the phone works, how Gwen got her psychic powers or what her psychic powers were, because it's indicated in the movie that it's hereditary.
Yeah, because her mom
Yes.
had it.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if in the books are, I don't know this. This is all conjecture and hypothetical. Or not hypothetical, but my assumption.
Mm-hmm.
But I would imagine that likely what she had is called the Shine from The Shining, because if you read Stephen King's books, which this was written by his son, so I would imagine that Stephen King gave him permission to use the same universe. Then it would likely be The Shine, because it works similar to the way The Shining is explained in other Stephen King books. Because while there's only one movie called The Shining, there's a series of books where individuals in it have what is called the Shine, which is basically any psychic or telekinetic powers like Firestarter, which was recently remade as well. In that, she has the Shine, Carrie has the Shine. So I wouldn't be surprised if Gwen in this had the Shine as well.
No, I guarantee she does because of all the parallel. It really felt like Danny from The Shining. just like Gwen was a older Dany.
Yeah.
You know.
So I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, and if the black phone was also or explained in the movie.
They kind of explain it as it always rings, and you can hear it ring, but you have to have something, I guess, to talk to them because none of the other kids were able to talk to the dead kids except for him.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Movie was handled very poorly. Fuck this movie.
Yeah, like I said, stuff like that. Most of my major criticisms, I feel like, were likely explained in the book, and that's why I plan on giving it a read.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can read the book and tell us about it.
Yeah, I will.
So, what do you have for Bailey's Babbles?
So, for Bailey's Babbles today, I wanted to talk about basically what movies and books and stuff have we not done that you would like to do. Like, not necessarily we're planning to do or anything like that, but...
Silent Hill 2.
So, okay, I mean, that would be good. Why?
Have you played it?
And I've never got super far. I haven't played it enough to have, like, a legitimate opinion.
Oh, we'll sit down and have, like, a day where we play it. Yeah. And once you play it, you'll understand. I don't want to, like...
Spoil it. I'll watch the trailer.
No, the symbolism. Like, that's what got me into symbolism.
I feel that.
Like, that game is very deep and extremely fucked up the more you think about it.
That's fair.
Do you know how it ends?
I know that there are multiple endings, and I've seen a couple of them, yeah.
The true ending?
Isn't there, like, a duck ending?
No, it's a dog ending.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, then I've seen where the dog is, like, ruling the world or controlling everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was you this whole time?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
And I've seen a couple others. What else?
Like, movies that we want to do?
Yeah, like, so I know that we've talked about, like, The Evil Dead 2 and stuff. And
Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, Pulp Fiction, Kill Bill 1 and 2 would be one that I really
basically
wanna do.
just Tarantino stuff.
I really like Tarantino. I really like Scorsese. There's like Goodfellas, Godfather would be one.
The Irishman?
No, not The Irishman. I don't like that movie.
It was too cliche.
Bad.
And yeah.
Yeah, it's one of Scorsese's not good movies. Taxi Driver I'd really like to do. I really like Taxi Driver. Truman Show would be another good one. I'm trying to think of Martyrs. I want to do Martyrs. Like, I'll be honest. I really do. I would also really like to dive into Antichrist or Melancholia.
I think it's Melancholia.
Melancholia, yeah. Either one of those. Or Nymphomaniac. But Nymphomaniac I didn't feel like was as deep as the other two. That was more like just like a fuck you movie.
Or a fuck me movie.
Or that, yeah.
Fuck me, fuck me, fuck me.
But I would like to do those. Like, there are basically certain directors and certain types of movies that I would like to do that have more, substance to talk about. And obviously, I'd like to continue doing new releases if this is a positive episode and people are like, oh yeah, you should continue doing this. And I'd like to check out the new ones.
That's fair.
If they look interesting. There are some new releases that I literally don't care about.
I really want to do Nope.
Yeah, like, obviously that was one that we would do. With that being said, I'd like to do Get Out. I don't really want to do Us.
I mean, I liked Us a lot, but I feel like there's not a lot. It's arguable because I feel like Us arguably has more to talk about than Get Out. But the issue with Us is it's so vague that it's open to so many different interpretations as to what is legitimately going on, that I feel like the episode would be too long, and depending on our perspectives, it would be too much arguing.
How many times have you seen it?
4 or 5.
Every time I watch that movie, there's something that pops up. Like, every time I watch it, there's something that pops up
that makes you go, oh shit.
Makes me go, oh shit, that foreshadows. Like, that whole movie is the perfect foreshadow movie.
Exactly.
And that's why I think that it would be good, because it's a good movie to talk about. But I really liked it. Trying to think of other ones, like books. I mean, we could technically do like the Hellbound Heart and then Hellraiser.
So I'm glad that you listed off as many as you did, because it kind of brought into what I actually want to talk about in Bailey's Bible.
Okay.
So it sounds like a majority of the movies that you pointed out aren't horror. Like most of them I would consider to be like dramas or mysteries or action almost
I
action.
mean, no, I like. Well, I mean, we all have our genres that we.
No, for sure. Well, so the reason it's relevant and the reason I'm asking is because we've talked about it before a little,
Yeah.
but we've been talking and we're talking about moving into the second season of the podcast.
Oh, I thought we were talking about breaking up.
Oh, I hope not.
Oh, okay.
Are you like I know that we are not in like a romantic relationship, but are you trying to break up our friendship?
We could be in a romantic relationship.
You're not my type, bro.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I like the ladies.
I do too. So if there's any single women out there listening, please give me your phone number and I will give you mine. We will exchange text messages and then you will decide whether or not you would like to continue talking to me.
I don't know if you should try to use the podcast to pick up women.
No, I'm not. I'm totally fucking with you. But no, I think that well, I know what you're about to say. And if you would like to do that, we can. I don't know. I don't want to stick to just horror, because I feel like there are really great movies out there. That's why I enjoy doing, Eternal Sunshine.
Well, so Eternal Sunshine is what really made me think about this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I think we should definitely do horror, and I think whenever a new movie comes out that looks interesting, we should definitely hop on it. But I think that we should start trying to push to rebrand from straight horror.
To like movies.
Yeah.
Because I don't. Okay, so Nope would be a good horror movie, or a mystery thriller, whatever you want to call it. It'll be a good movie. Whereas reviewing a movie like Bullet Train.
I don't know if I've seen Bullet Train.
Oh, that's the one with Brad Pitt, where he's like an assassin on a train trying to get a briefcase from other assassins, and the whole movie's on a train.
That doesn't sound like something I would really be interested in.
That's my point exactly. I don't think that if we were to do new movies like that, it would be kind of like selective to things that would be interesting to talk about, because the fact that Brad Pitt's beating the shit out of everybody on a train wouldn't make for a good hour.
You don't think so?
No, I mean, it would probably make for a good movie. Like, I'm going to go watch it because I like Brad Pitt, and watching Brad Pitt, say funny things to beat the shit out of people on a train would be interesting, but I'm not going to do a review on it because it would be Brad Pitt's on a train, Brad Pitt grabbed briefcase, Brad Pitt got punched, Brad Pitt punches, Brad Pitt's off the train.
So I don't know much about Brad Pitt, but I know quite a bit about Sweaty Pitt because it's hot as fuck in here.
It is.
Hey.
No, I'd also like to do Memento.
Memento would be cool.
Fight Club is one of my favorite movies of all time.
See,
I mean, if you want to do like my favorite movies of all time,
we would just do Tarantino, nothing but Tarantino for
No,
like
we
3
wouldn't.
months straight.
we literally
And then once we
wouldn't.
were done with Tarantino, you'd be like, yeah, we did Pulp Fiction like 3 months ago, but we're actually going to re-review it because like I don't ever get sick of that movie because it's just like so pulpy and fictiony.
No, I don't get sick of that movie because it's my favorite movie
No,
of all time. But
It's an amazing movie. I just know that if you picked every movie, we would end up doing Pulp Fiction like 6 times a year.
No, I mean, if you want to do that, I've seen the movie 14 times, so we can do it 6 times a year.
14 times this year.
No, 14 times in a week.
Oh.
That's how dedicated we are. But no, I mean, what would you want to do?
I mean, a lot of the movies you listed off are movies I was also interested in doing. I don't know. I kind of want to do like more indie stuff, even if it's like indie horror, like Magic, or Color Out of Space.
Okay, there's one indie movie that I would like to do, and I can't remember what it's called. But when I figure it out, I'll let you know.
That sounds really cool. I don't know what it's called, but I'll figure it out. I'll let you know.
Yeah, really good movie.
That sounds like something that if I figured out, I would let you know about.
I mean, yeah, if you wanted to do that, we can. Like, I personally would like to do that and not just be the horror podcast. Like, I know, if our listeners like it, I have no problem with doing it because I like horror. Contrary to what I listed off, I do enjoy it. It was one of the genres that I grew up on, and I think that you can have very sophisticated horror movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, for instance.
And then you can have like really dumb, like pointless movies that have no significance whatsoever, like Hereditary.
No, I was gonna say The Black Phone, but like even Wicker Man,
Well, no, I was making a joke because you called Texas Chainsaw Massacre sophisticated,
It is.
and most people would call that a stupid slasher, and most people would call Hereditary sophisticated. So I was like,
Oh, no, I would call it sophisticated because I know what I'm talking about.
I mean,
The people that don't think that Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a sophisticated movie don't understand the point that it's trying to convey.
the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of the best, and I like how gritty the film quality is.
Yeah, it's a masterpiece.
It makes it feel raw, and I really like it.
Yeah, I like raw dogging things too.
That's not what I said.
But no, if you wanted to do that, then I'm completely okay with it. I would be fine if you just want to like make season 2 less horror and more whatever.
Less horror, more bantery.
Bantery, no. Because I don't think people would like us enough to listen to us talk about stuff. Now we can have our own separate podcast called Let's Talk.
Yeah,
And it'll be a podcast where we talk about different things, different topic every episode. But I don't think people want that.
I feel like it would end up just being us like flinging shit at each other by the end of the episode.
I mean, probably we can do that. Just like have a topic that we debate.
Yeah, it could be like why the Punisher is the worst character to ever be written.
But it's not. No, not at all. Punisher's the best.
It could be about how the Punisher is just,
What's the Punisher's real name?
discount Rambo, Wade Wilson.
All right, the fact that you don't know his name means you are not qualified to talk any shit.
No, it's Wade Wilson.
No, it's
that's
not.
not Deathstroke. That's the Punisher.
That's not Deathstroke either.
Is it not a Deadshot?
No,
Who's
not-
Wade? Who's Wade Wilson?
that's Deadpool.
Deadpool?
Slade Wilson.
Slade Wilson?
Yeah, Slade Wilson is.
I don't know.
Wh-
I don't know what I'm talking about.
And I don't know what Deadshot's real name is because I don't give a fuck about Deadshot.
Wasn't he played by Will Smith in not the latest, but the one before that, Suicide Squad?
Well, yeah, but I think his character is just stupid.
Oh.
Like, I've never found Deadshot to be a cool, interesting villain because all he does is just shoot a gun and can hit anything.
In DC Legends, if he is your hero leader, then the first attack of every match is always a crit for your team.
Okay.
It's not relevant.
It's not relevant at all, but that's okay.
All right, do you have anything else today?
No, I don't. I think that kind of wraps up our review of The Black Phone.
Yep.
In theaters now. Go see it. Don't see it. I don't care what you do with your life.
Exactly. Do what feels good. Be happy. Be healthy.
Do it at the same time. And I just want to take a minute to thank our listeners for sticking through all of our bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. We know this episode has been, a little different than normal.
But we like experimentation. And we think that you should experiment.
Yeah, like, by doing experimental stuff.
Yeah, like turning yourself into a fly.
Or, giving a podcast 5 stars even if you think it's 4 stars.
Yeah, absolutely. You can lie. That's okay. Richard Nixon did it. And look where that got him.
I mean, if you don't know anything about Watergate sounds like something that could be pretty cool. It could be like a dam or a...
I thought it was a theme park. Like, welcome to Watergate. Like Waterworld,
Exactly.
Where we are on water. All right, now we're just rambling. We should probably wrap up this episode.
This has been 2 Idiots, 1 Podcast. I'm Bailey.
And I'm Taylor, and thank you for listening.
Have a jolly good evening.
Bye.
Farewell.